the urgent danger thing is definitely something everybody needs to know. And I'm not sure why the thing is happening so much, or maybe it's anomalies, but I definitely want everybody to hear that part and some other news and stuff. The other room end now. Let's see. I got a frog or phlegm in my throat this morning. Oh, and have a success story. Might have been my longest process ever. I still have, and I need to knock on wood, 100% verification and suspension appeal rate. However, I think this was the longest. I think I had one other suspension that took forever, but that was mostly because the person was dragging their feet, like, because you got to gather a bunch of stuff. But we recently had a success story and pretty exciting. And you always learn stuff through that process and a glimpse into certain things that I can't just go and experience because they change all the time and you have to be suspended to be able to go through the process to learn what the process is. Um, so it's good to go through certain things and then know better for the next time. Not that I am happy that it happened to that person at all. I've been dealing with a lot of verification and suspension stuff lately, and that's a lot more stressful. Optimizing them, setting up local ads, uh, accounts, and doing all that. That's fun. I can do it in my sleep. It's easy. It's enjoyable. I like it. But the suspension and verification stuff, it's kind of, like it's close to selling a house. I wouldn't maybe make it that serious, but I mean, I have one suspension right now that they've got like 300, they've got hundreds of reviews, and they definitely, I mean, you don't want to start over with that if you're suspended and have 8 reviews, maybe not the end of the world. You still want to, at all costs, not start a new one, blah, blah, blah. But um, yeah, it's a little bit stressful because it's people's money that's on the line and they're trusting me to do it. So I'm confident in my abilities and my knowledge, but it's still just like selling a house. You still kind of, you want to do a good job and make sure you do right. And I, having been a real estate agent, I think of clients kind of as a fiduciary. I'm not with digital marketing per se, but I still kind of think about it the same way. So I want to do for others as I would do for myself, or possibly even better. Usually better, actually. Lots of marketing agencies, websites suck. They don't run ads. They don't do all the things they tell their clients to do. I do, but anyhow, all right, we got a bunch of people in here. We can probably get it rolling. Morning, everybody that came on stage. Invite the rest of you up. Mod a few, PTR it. Maria, Jess, Laura, Kristen, Monique. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do Denise too. I think that makes 6 or a few rows, whatever. That's enough to, if anybody needs help getting up, bring them up, say hi in the chat, and we'll get it rolling here. Thanks for joining me here today in Google for Real Estate. We're here live on Clubhouse every Wednesday, 9 to 10 a.m. I'm Derek Bixler, commercial and residential real estate agent of 18 years, outdoor adventure sportsman, and Google marketing geek. In this room, we talk about dominating Google local search and getting business from our Google business profiles, as well as discuss other Google tools and marketing stuff that they provide. Replays are available and recordings are available on, there's a link in the chat to the replays. They're just on my website, or if you just went to searchbomb.com, you can find the replays in there. They're available on Clubhouse for 7 days, then they are deleted and only available on my website. Please come up to stage if you're here live on Clubhouse with us. I like to have a nice full stage, and I like people to chime in or ask questions if you have it. And if you just want to sit up here and not say anything, that's welcome too. And if you have expertise or something, I know there are people on Clubhouse that have expertise in these things as well. So pop up and chime in and say something if you want to. And a reminder that all this stuff we talk about also applies to other local business types. So we kind of relate everything to real estate in here, but if you're a local plumber or a tree trimmer or HVAC company or a mobile notary or a car dealership, any kind of local business, this relates and can be translate and be applied to all that stuff. So, like I said, all the links for all the stuff should be in the chat for replays, the replays on Spotify and podcast players. Free discovery call link up at the top. If you need help with anything, you can click that button. That's the easiest way to talk to me about something. Today, we will do some AMA. If anybody has any questions, review exchange. Again, reviews, if you're here live, reviews are encouraged. And I wouldn't even mind if people commented, like if this is on Spot, I think you can comment on Spotify. If you're listening later and you want to comment with your review link and maybe get a review out of it, go ahead and do that. That would be funny if that actually happened. I don't think it will. But anyway, if you're here live in the chat, feel free to put your Google review request link in there and pay it forward, give somebody else a review, or just look them up, give them a review. Send them the screenshot of your review, and hopefully they will reciprocate. Sometimes they don't show up, and as I always preach, if they don't show up, get over it, move on with your life, not worth worrying about. Just keep sending your link to more people. So reviews and exchanging of that is encouraged, allowed to do that. I got some news and things, a lot of which came from one episode of one of my favorite local SEO podcasts, but some news and tips and a few things. And before that, I should do it at the end to make sure people, that's a terrible marketing ploy. Put the urgent danger announcement that I need to say to everybody, which I've already kind of posted about on social media, but I should put that at the end so everybody would have to wait, I guess, to hear that. But I guess I will not. I'm going to do that first. I have it here first on my list, so I will go with that. And anybody that has to skedaddle can get out of here. But next time, I'm going to be a better marketer and put the urgent danger announcement at the end. And then I've got some news and stuff. And I think that is it. Next week, not sure. At some point, I'm going to have a website person or two, or yeah, probably two at the most, come in and audit my website. So for local SEO, so talk about regular website SEO a little bit, and I'll put myself on the fire and I'll give them access back into my WordPress, and they always have special tools that they use. I have some of that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't. I'm pretty specific about my specific expertise, so they can go a little bit deeper, and maybe I can learn some stuff to make my website better. So I'm going to do that at some point once I reach out to and decide who and all that stuff. And I also would like to, this success story that I'm going to talk about, that I've been talking about for the last few weeks, um, the product expert, which are the people in the Google Help forum that if they see your question and want to help, they can. They're not paid employees, they just volunteer. It's good for them because they become product experts, and then it helps them get business from businesses, and they all own digital marketing agencies. Anyhow, the guy that helped us on this last help ticket, um, I'm going to try to get him. I've been in contact with him outside of the help ticket now, and I'm going to try to get him into one of the rooms, hopefully, talk about that, talk about the community, and maybe get a little bit more of an inside scoop. He's a little bit more accessible, the higher level. I think he's a silver product expert, I want to say. The higher ones, like the diamond, I think it goes up to diamond, gold, those people, probably a bit harder to get in here. Although when those people had the Google Business Profile room years ago, or I think it's been about a year since they've stopped. They had the people, the diamond, like the dude on here before. So maybe I don't know if they had connections, or maybe he would do it. So maybe I should just start asking people and stop thinking they wouldn't do it. But anyhow, him at the very least, I'm going to try to get him on here and talk about the community and whatever, take questions, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. Well, first we'll start with AMA. I'll put that before the urgent danger announcement at least. So we'll start with AMA. Anybody have any questions, issues, troubles for Google Business Profile or local services ads, or anything else, digital marketing, I guess, too? Everybody just wants to hear the announcement. All right. Announcement is I've had four, two personal requests, well, on accounts that I manage, not on my accounts, but two requests for ownership on accounts that I am in, clients, yada, yada, of their Google business profile. And then when I posted about it, I had two people say that that also happened to them. And thankfully, they responded fast enough and did all the things. So there's an uptick in it. Last week, I was talking about the uptick in suspensions and verification and scrutinization of profiles and making sure all our settings are within policy. And if we're pushing our settings a little bit to show up more, we're at least prepared or know that we're doing that and have all our documentation in order and know what we need to do if something happens. And now, this past week, this is all, yeah, since the last room, these four requests for ownership, and they're all fraudulent. And what it is any consumer, you could go to any Google business profile and request ownership of it. And if the person on record as the owner, that email address will get an email, and if that owner does not click respond and say, yes, you can have access, or no, do not approve, then that person will get, so if you do not respond at all, that person that requested it can take steps to take it over. Usually there's some proof required on the other side, but sometimes people can fake that stuff. Sometimes Google doesn't require proof. So, sometimes here and there when you move your location of a Google business profile, you'll get a text verification. Very rare, but it's usually a video, but sometimes it does happen. So it could possibly happen that you say, yes, approve, and it just goes to them, and now it's over. There's nothing you can do. You can then request ownership and petition it if they disapprove it, yada yada. But holy cow, pain in the butt, all that stuff. So I've seen four in the last week. I hardly ever see any. I mean, I can't even think of, I know I've seen them before, but it's not a very regular occurrence. So 4 in 7 days that I know about is a lot, and they're all, yeah, all the email addresses that are requesting it seem fraudulent looking and fake looking, obviously. And even if they were real people, if they're not the owner, they shouldn't be requesting it, and you shouldn't be giving them ownership. So that is the urgent danger announcement to watch your email. And if you get something from Google that says ownership request, you need to, don't put that off. Do not put a star on it and save it for later. Don't wait. You have 3 days to respond. And after that, that person could take steps to take over your Google business profile. So you need to click the respond button. Don't be scared of that. You do need to do that click. On the next screen, it will say approve or disapprove, do not approve. Obviously, you want to click do not approve, again, within those 3 days. And then it will also give you a place to put a reason. And I don't know that it really matters, but I like to give Google and the AI on the back end information. So I like to write fraudulent request, period. Requester is not an owner or related to this business at all, or something to that effect. So you want to be really clear that this is completely fraudulent. This person's not an owner, blah blah blah. And even if you didn't put a reason, if you click do not approve, you're not approving, and they wouldn't be able to do whatever they were trying to do. But I do like to again give Google the information that they're seeking, so that that's the only way the system gets better. Is, same with rating reviews and local services ads. That's the only way they're going to train the system better to know what kind of calls to charge you for or not charge you for, yada yada. So if you get an email, first of all, keep an eye out for emails about your Google business profile from Google. If you get one, an ownership request, it will say someone has requested ownership of your Google business profile. Click respond, click do not approve, and write fraudulent request. Requester is not an owner or related to the business at all. And then confirm that and do it within the 3 days. So that's the urgent announcement. Huge. I mean, that's big. Other than suspension stuff like we talked about last week, which would be the second most urgent stuff, somebody taking ownership of your Google business profile is pretty urgent. It's also, if you needed to actually have a suspension client, actually the one I mentioned earlier, who has a few hundred reviews. They've already gone. They already tried to appeal the suspension because, or and they did it terribly. They just kind of wrote a sob story in the blank about explain it and didn't upload any proof or utility documents or any of the stuff that Google wants. So they failed the suspension. So we're going to have to go to the community and possibly put help tickets in. Although it doesn't, when you're suspended, you can't even put help tickets in. At least on that account, I can't. It just won't allow it. So we're going to have to go to the help community, yada, yada. But that profile, they have their, the main owner of that profile, and I think this is why it got suspended. It is an old employee's email. So it was a branded, it was Jane at J- johnsmithrealty.com. So Jane worked for johnsmithrealty.com. They hired Jane to be the digital marketing person. Jane created the Google business profile and was the main owner of it with Jane at johnsmithrealty.com. Jane left johnsmithrealty.com, and now johnsmithrealty.com canceled that branded email account because the person left, and now the Google business profile was left being owned by an email that is no longer active. So I think that's number one, which actually I didn't put together till a day or two after our call, and we're going through, and you can't really tell what, they don't really tell you what you got suspended for anyway, but you have to try to guess and fix things. And there wasn't like a lot that I thought would get them suspended. We tweaked a couple things, but nothing bad. So, and then I had an epiphany like a day. I was like, oh, it was because of that. That was why. And we had already discussed they needed to transfer ownership back to themselves. So I think it got suspended because the owner is not an active email. It's not even a person anymore, the owner. So it got suspended. Um, So we are trying to, I told them to reactivate that email address. So now they can get emails and get into the Google business profile and everything. And the email address is not going to be taken. It was a branded one already. So turn that back on, get back in there, transfer ownership back to themselves, and then they can delete that email. And then we can go about all the suspension stuff. But first priority is like you need to get that ownership back to yourself and not that dead email address. If that doesn't work for some reason, and it might not, I'm waiting for a response on something I just asked him yesterday. But if that doesn't work, then the next step would be for them to act like a consumer and request ownership just like these fraudulent people are. And then that email address that is no longer active, they just would not respond to it for 3 days, and then they would be able to provide documentation and take ownership of the Google business profile. So that would be another application of the requesting ownership, or a legitimate use of the request ownership button. But if you get a fraudulent request, respond and definitely don't approve it. Do not approve, do not approve. Anybody have any questions or anything about that or anything else?
Hi, good morning from Oklahoma City. Thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge with us. I was looking at my email just as you were speaking, and I did receive this morning. It says you've received an ownership request. William Mark is requesting to be listed as an owner of Galavis Estates Agency. And then it gives a picture on the details, the name, phone number, and email. And then it says respond.
Yeah, click. When did that email come in? Hopefully within 3 days of today.
Yes, this morning.
Oh yeah, you said that. Yeah, click respond, click do not approve, and write for the reason fraudulent request, not an owner or related to business or something to that effect. So that's five now in the last 7 days that I've heard about. So yeah,
Wow.
keep your eyes out, everybody. I don't know. Maybe I'm guessing there are always people building bots. They're usually in other countries, and the same people that do review fraud and do local services ads fraud and all the fraud stuff. They must have recently figured out some bot way to request ownership. And I don't know what the end game would be anyway, other than maybe holding you ransom for it or something. But I don't know what it would help some person in another country taking ownership of a Google business profile. It's just a nuisance or terrorism or I don't know what to call it, but it's not like they could use it or profit off it. So I don't know why they would do it. But yeah, thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Go check your emails. Type in the search bar ownership or ownership request or those kinds of words, or Google anything from Google. But
Morning.
morning.
Hey, Derek and everyone else. Yeah, I just got a text message yesterday about agenthope.com is ready to be listed in Google Go to web search ready online. Use promo code. I mean, that's probably a scam also, but I never did click it.
Yeah, sounds like a spam more than a scam. Spam versus scam. Yeah, probably just uh, a crappy way of trying to sell you some website package or something. Do you own that URL that they were talking about?
Yeah, that's my new agenthope.com. But yeah, it's probably um, yep, trying to buy something. You need to buy something.
Yeah, and the provider you bought the URL from might have signed an agreement where they can sell your information to marketers or something, which I don't, they all kind of do it, but yeah, spam, not scam, which can be very closely related sometimes or the same thing, but yeah. Same with those. I probably got three. I mean, I get calls daily, multiple calls daily from these people, and I also get people sending me transcripts or recordings of their voicemails from those people that say, "Hey, this is Johnny from Business Local. You're with an urgent message about your Google Business profile." And then they're like, "You have to call. We close at 5 p.m. today, so make sure you call us back because there's something wrong with your Google Business profile." And almost daily I get one of those sent to me. I got a standard gift that I send to people that's a can of spam. So any of that, any text messages or voicemails or anything that's like urgent message about your Google business profile or you're not verified, they'll blatantly lie that you're not verified. You can very easily just go to your profile, and if you're not verified, Google will be screaming at you to verify your profile. So ignore all that crap as well. Basically, people doing what I do. It's just a terrible way to go about it and basically lie to people and then try to sell them some kind of optimization after you call them or whatever. Uh, and some portion of them might be an actual fraudulent scam or trying to get something from you. Any other questions or anything?
Good morning, Derek and everybody. This is Denise in Greenville, South Carolina. I don't have a question. I just want to jump in and give you some props and thank you and publicly here for anyone who doesn't know or has never consulted with Derek. You should. I'm just going to say you should. So I am one of those people, unfortunate people that had my Google page, I guess you would call it suspended, became unverified when I did a company change and an address change. And we've been working on this for probably 3 months now, right, Derek? I don't even know what the time frame is. But honestly, if it wasn't for Derek, I probably would have given up hope and maybe started a new page. But I didn't want to do that because of all the reviews that I had worked so hard to get. And I finally just said, I'm gonna, we're gonna get this done, and I'm gonna be patient. And he did, and I could have never done it without him. And I just want you all to know that if you need help, he is your go-to. And I get those daily calls too, especially during the time when my page was not verified. I'm like, oh, maybe this is like real, but it wasn't. But Derek is the bomb, and thank you so much. And even the ownership of the page, I got one of those emails a little over a week ago, sent it to him, and he advised me and walked me through exactly the steps to take and what to do. And just your knowledge is outstanding, Derek, and your perseverance to get the job done, even though it it took so many steps, and we just kept plugging along at it. We came out successful just this week, actually, just a few days ago. So again, thank you so much. And lean on Derek. He is your man, please. He is so good at what he does. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. So thank you, Derek.
Thank you, thank you. I've been keeping it a secret. I don't like to share people's names usually, so every time I talk about it. But thank you for publicly saying who it was and thanking me, and I can clip this for a great little sound bite and whatnot. Thank you. And I did. I can't say I enjoyed it, but I did. I learned some stuff, and obviously that's why I said what I said. We learn things. I'll actually tell the story here. It's a great segue because that's my first piece of news, tips, announcements, success stories, whatever. My list of stuff. The first thing says success with about 20 exclamation points because, like Denise said, it took at least 3 months. I haven't even been tracking, but months for sure. What had happened was she changed address. Well, it was a kind of a new profile, and so new profile already. It was going for not too long, doing good with reviews. Actually, fantastic for how the number of reviews in the amount of time. But anyway, new account, new everything, verified, then changed the address not very long after being in existence. So I think that's what, well, that always triggers a re-verification. Then we got stuck in some limbo where it wouldn't even let us, it was just saying no verification methods available, which it typically will do if you try to do the video and you mess up too many times, 2 or 3. I'm not sure. Usually it's around 2, I think, but you might get more or less. But at some point, if you fail the video verifications and you click to verify, it will say no more verification methods available. Then you have to click and click through to support, and eventually you'll get to a form, which is basically the video verification in form form. So you fill out the information, you upload all the documents that you would need. You have to know how to upload the documents because you need to upload multiple, but you can only attach one file a lot of times. So you got to zip certain files in certain folders properly, but essentially upload everything, blah, 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 be open to a live video call, submit your form, and then hopefully that gets you the verification. But with Denise's, it was not giving us anything. It was just an endless loop of click to call contact support, and then it would take you to check the verification status, which told us we need to verify. And then you click through, and it would say no verification methods available. Then you would click that, and it was just an endless loop, and would never serve up that form that it should have been serving us up to put all the things, fill all the things in. So I went to the community, um, and there's actually, I think, a solution which would have fixed it from the jump, but I didn't know it. And I'm not, I feel like I did it at the beginning. Maybe it didn't work, but I'll tell you what that was when I get to the end of the story. So I had to go to the community because we're in this glitch, put it in the community. Important thing is to put the case number like right up at the top when you post in the community, because the product experts in the community want they want all the information, as much of the information right up front as possible, so they can diagnose and give you an answer. And the more they have to ask for more things, the more it seems like you're going to be a pain in the butt to help that day, the less they will help you, I think. So I've been pretty good at structuring my questions, and I listen to podcasts and kind of hear other people do it. But this was the first time that I put the case number right, the very first thing at the top. There's no way you couldn't see it. I might have even put it in the title. Do they have titles? I definitely put it in the very first line. So anybody even just scanning questions that day would see there's a case number with this question. Obviously, to have a case number, you would have to put a help ticket in to begin with. So actually, before I posted in the community, I had to put a help ticket in with Google, and it was just kind of a general help ticket because it won't allow me to do verification stuff in there. So a general help ticket just to get a case number. The help ticket was no help. It sends you back, here's a place to read about policies, but we can't help you. Um, so you get that case number, go to the community, paste that case number as the very first thing, and then start talking about your problem and be very precise about what happened, the background of it. anything else you need to put in there to explain the story, a link to your Google business profile, the actual name of your Google business profile. There's a bunch of stuff that you want to put in there that I know that they're going to be looking for in order to diagnose it. Mostly just the case number. They want the case number because that's what they would escalate it if they help you. And they know that you already put a help ticket in. They don't want to help people that didn't already put a help ticket in. So that case number is super important. Then the problem, then the link to your profile so they can see your profile. And then beyond there, they're going to ask for other documentation too, depending on what, if you're doing verification or suspension stuff, they're going to ask to for you to provide all the utility bills and all that kind of stuff so they could look at that kind of stuff. I wouldn't add that stuff right off the bat there because it is public. Like anybody could go on there and click on your Google Drive link and look at your stuff. So I wouldn't put that right off the bat. With this one, I asked the question. He saw my question, and it's a good one for him to take on anyway. It's a good one to like put in his past work belt and earning his gold and diamond status product expert, a suspension or a verification, and a glitch. Like if nobody's seen this glitch before, that's a thing that somebody would like to uncover, this loop that we were stuck in. So made sense that he would take it on. We went back and forth a bunch of times. He asked questions, had me change some settings in the profile. I had to send him screenshots of all the settings page when you click like the edit profile tab where all your main settings are. Uh, Send him screenshots of that. We changed a few things, gave a few tips, which I've talked about in the past. Went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then, right at the end, when he's right about to escalate the ticket, he told me to do something. I forget. Hide the address or unhide the address and put the new address in, which I did. And the act of doing that, whatever I did in there, when I unhided it and added the address in again. Oh, what he asked for was screenshots of the glitch. So I was like, all right, I think all your documentation, we have all the settings good. I'm ready to escalate it. But the engineers want screenshots of your glitch so that they can fix the glitch. So I went back into the profile and went to verify. And when you go to verify, it asks you for an address. I put the address in. And now this time, for whatever reason, it got me to the form. So after all that 3 months of going back and forth with this guy, I ended up getting to the form and doing it myself. And then if we were unsuccessful, then I would have gone back to the guy in the community and said, "Hey, weren't able to get verified. Can you escalate this?" But in this case, it then brought me to the form finally, and I was like, "Oh my God." So then I fill out the form very thoroughly based on what this guy coached us on and left all the settings the same. In that form, you have to say that I'm open. Well, you can say no, but you want to say yes, I'm open for a live video call with a Google person, which Denise can speak to. She was the one that actually did it. But what I've thought, which did happen, it was a few days at least before they called. Denise, I think you had to request a time, right? Am I remembering correctly?
I think once you got that set up, yeah, I had to go in and well, I didn't actually request a time. I actually just went in and said, um, clicked on it to get verified. I had to answer a few questions and then it just connected me to someone immediately. So like I had to do it when I was ready to do it. Because when I first got notification, if you recall, I was in Connecticut, so I waited till I got back to South Carolina to actually click on it and do it. And it was immediate right then and there. I didn't schedule anything. It was just done as soon as I clicked on it. But you know what, Derek, I also just wanted to add quickly too, just in case, I think we're just assuming that everybody would know this, but Derek is an administrator of my Google page because he originally helped me get it set up and started for my new South Carolina profile. So he was an administrator, which gave him the ability to do all these things that he's doing, and helping me with it. I'm not sure if anybody might be questioning or have that in their mind, like how did he be able to get to do that? But that's how. So I just wanted to add that too.
Yes, good note. If I was just a consumer, so to speak, and didn't have admin capabilities, yeah, tell me to pound sand and next person for sure. Yeah. So in that live video, so it was immediate. which I guess I did know, I forgot, but yeah, I that's why I sent it to you. It looks like it's immediate, and we talked about how we needed to have all the documentation together, which was very meticulously sorted and thought out by then. So she had all of that stuff, marketing materials, utility bills, blah blah blah. The thing I thought was interesting about the live call was that they had her open, right? The vehicle was locked. You had to get in your vehicle, show the license plate, get in the vehicle, and show you starting the vehicle, right?
Yes. So well, the first they wanted they wanted me to, we were on video. So scan a side view of the car, like the side panel of the car. Then walk around to the driver's side, open the door, get into the vehicle and start the vehicle and show them my dashboard. Um, and then so that I guess so that they knew that the vehicle was operational. And this was because I didn't have any branding on my car. If my car was branded or any signage on it, then they would have just taken like an exterior view of that. So, and then lastly, getting out of the car and showing them the license plate of the vehicle.
Gotcha.
That was the
Yeah,
process.
license plate makes sense. I mean, none of it makes sense if it's not a branded vehicle, because what does that prove? If it's not a, it just proves that I own a vehicle, like if they're checking it on the back end via the license plate, which would make sense. It also doesn't make sense that if it was a branded vehicle, they don't make you get in. It would be more of a requirement because you should prove that you own that vehicle. I could go just stand by Michelle Meinhardt's truck and be like, here I am. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't hear that note from you before. That's interesting. So, if it is branded, you just show it and possibly still have to show the license plate, maybe. And then if it's not branded, you obviously have to get in, start it, show the dashboard, and show the license plate. And the license plate, again, makes sense. The AI could probably read that and check on some back end easily. Is that something anybody can look up? Is that public information, license plates? I don't know. Or even if you had to pay for it, can the public get that kind of stuff? Or do you have to like know a cop or something? Anyway, yeah,
I
we're
don't think that is
successful. Go
public
ahead.
information. Yeah, I don't think that's public information. And the only reason why I say that, Derek, is because my husband Vinny is also in the bail bonds business, and so like just getting a license plate, of somebody, you had to go somewhere else to get that pulled. Police officer, motor vehicle, or whatever. Like, he always had to do that when he was chasing somebody that skipped bond or whatever. So I don't think that is public information, but it is interesting. I wonder what they do with that.
Yeah, maybe just a minimum, just there is a license plate on there from the state there. It's just kind of a minimum. At least it's not like a stolen car without a license plate. It's some kind of just minimum verification, I guess. But I thought that was interesting for sure. So that's something to think about if you ever have to do that live video, is to have your vehicle close by and ready to do that part. Um, I would see, again, I would anticipate if you had a branded vehicle, they would like to see that. But without a branded vehicle, I don't know why they would want to. But and then I think that was the only thing that was really interesting. Everything else made sense. Obviously, had everything ready. And then after you did the video, it took what, like 3 days, something like that, before got notification.
Yeah, so normally what he told me was normally like he was just going to verify it on the spot, but for some reason, I don't know, there must have been something that needed further review, and he had to send it to somebody else to look at. So he said that the response time normally would be 5 to 8 business days is what they have to state for time frame. But he did say, just so you know, I've seen them get verified within 2 to 3 business days, and you will get an email letting you know. And sure enough, 2 business days later, I had the email. So that was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we proved the crap out of everything that we were
Oh
claiming.
my God.
So,
Totally. Over the
yeah,
top. Totally. Yes.
there's no way they could ever. maybe it was simply it was probably just they prefer to have a branded vehicle, and just simply that it didn't check that box. Maybe the guy has to just go up and have somebody else say, yeah, that's fine for this one, everything else looks good, or who knows what it was, but one thing's not exactly perfect, so somebody else has to look at this thing. But yeah, and I mean, yeah, business formation documents and blah blah, utility bills out the wazoo. Everything matches. Everything was perfect. So we're successful. Took forever. Very happy that it happened. And yeah, and now I can check it off my list and deal with all these other suspensions that are probably going to take just as long. Especially, yeah, it's these other suspensions. So there's at least one and one other one that possibly they already exhausted their suspension. So when you get suspended, you will get an email that has a button to appeal. You do not want to appeal yet. You want to get all your stuff, all your ducks in a row. I was just pulling up my Google Drive folder for the one, and there are, I want to say five folders of things that I have that I collect from people. So suspension appeal documents, business registration documents, current GBP settings, Google Business Profile settings. So in that folder, I'm going to put, once I get all my settings exactly how they're supposed to be, I'm going to take screenshots of that edit profile, like the admin dashboard, which is something that the product expert asks for, and I know they would like to have as well. Probably overkill, but it's better to overkill. So business registration documents, current Google Business Profile settings, help contact form screenshots. So in this case, like I said, we can't go to the help system. And since that's something I'm going to say in my explanation, it will not let us put a help ticket in because we're suspended and have exhausted, blah, blah, blah. I want to have screenshots showing the help system denying me. So I literally take like screenshots in sequential order with numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually doesn't take too many till you get till the end or the dead end or whatever. Again, overkill, but I like to overkill. Help contact form screenshots, location images and access. So since they want images mostly here, so we need to provide images. In the video, you show access by actually walking into the place, opening the door, showing signage and numbers and your desk and pictures of the conference room and the lobby and all that stuff. Here, we need to do the photo version of that. So there's a folder of location images and access. Uh, Manage appeals, that one won't apply to everybody else. Marketing materials, tools, and equipment. You want to have pictures of all your marketing materials. Tools and equipment usually doesn't apply. I mean, I guess signs are kind of a sledgehammer with the signs or something might be equipment. But for us, it's more marketing materials. I just call it tools and equipment because they call it that in one of the things. Owner's real estate license and driver's license. So whether you are a group or a team or an Inc. or a LLC and trying to prove that and use that name, I still want to include the person's real estate license there and driver's license. Again, the driver's license is an overkill thing, but it definitely does confirm identity without a doubt, blah, blah, blah. Proprietary business software screenshots. So in the video, you would show yourself logging into like expworld.com or whatever that thing's called, or remaxworld.com or whatever it is. And you would show it from the login screen, put the login password, log in, you show the URL that you're in the proprietary software, show that your name's there, blah, blah, blah. You're showing access to some proprietary business software. Again, that would be in the video. Here, we're going to take screenshots from the login, getting logged in, numbered along the way sequentially, doing the photo version of that video, and then utility bills being the most skipped one. People try to do it all. That's almost always the one. Oh, I thought I could get past without a utility bill. No, that's a pretty big one actually. The formation documents, if you have a business formed, and utility bills are two of the biggest ones. So let's count how many that I had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 folders of documents for suspension and really for verification. And really, if you're proactive, you would get all this stuff kind of together on the front end so that if anything happens, you can, boom, I'm ready to go. I can verify all this stuff at the drop of a hat. So if you were really crushing it and proactive, you would have these 8 folders and all the documents and screenshots. Some stuff might be timed, like your settings. You might have to do that at the last minute if you're changing stuff or something, but you could still kind of set up your Google Business Profile verification folder and then have all your stuff in there ready to go at the drop of a hat in case anything happens with your Google Business Profile. So there's a lot that goes into it. When I'm doing it for other people, they just kind of email me sporadically stuff, or I've organized it and I try to have them put it in a Google Drive or something, but there's still a lot of sifting through stuff, organizing stuff into the folders, naming the folders, dummy proof things that an AI or a person working at Google that's paid $2 an hour in another country can read and understand. And I just want to make sure everything's overkill, as dummy proof as possible, and everything is exact and correct as possible. So um, I think I've droned on about that. That was, where are we at? Oh, we're 10 minutes out, and that's only the first piece of my news. There's a bunch of news that I had here, but that's good because we'll have some for next time. Most of it has to do with local services ads. Any questions before I fill the next 10 minutes with some other stuff? Anything about like posting in the community or verification or the documents or anything?
Hi, Derek. This is Kim, and he is wonderful. He's helped me. I'm in Virginia. I did get an email just back saying that the insurance is not verified. Remember, we were worried about the addresses? So I did get that back just, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, so I still have to work on that.
Okay. Yeah. Shoot me an email so I can look at it and think about it as well. Um, what she's referring to is in local services ads. If you don't know, Google screened, quote unquote, you have to have a bunch of verification steps done. When one of them is your E&O insurance, proving that you have E&O insurance, and they like certain things to match up, like the address on official documents to the address that you're claiming or whatever. So we're having an issue with things matching up. So we'll have to figure out what to do. They are pretty terrible about things matching up. And when you are with, if you are with a cloud brokerage, the address on documents typically does not reflect the actual address where you practice, or even if there is a remote office, the address on your license or your brokerage might be in some city, like mine is 2 hours away. So I am unable to change the address on my local services ads because the address I want to change it to is not that address. I'm not going to say I'm in King of Prussia. So my local services ads currently right now still say the address is technically my old brokerage 2 brokerages ago, I guess. And it doesn't matter because I checked, I don't see customers there and it doesn't show the address or anything. So I'm not non-compliant. Would I like to have it correct? Yes, I would. But in this case, I didn't want to start a new account, which you could do. You could cancel an account and start a new account. But yeah, they didn't allow me to change my address because it was King of Prussia and I wanted to change it to something local and they wouldn't allow me to do that. Um, so thanks for bringing that up, Kim, and we'll hopefully work through that. And like I said, last resort, if you have those kinds of issues and you're not satisfied with how it's turning out, you can always just cancel it and start a new one. A lot of times you get away with things when you create a local services account. They're not as hard about checking things. A lot of my news here is about local services ads and the fact that this podcast episode that I just listened to, they were talking about more layoffs at Google, local services ads department basically going away, Google Business Profile department or Google Maps, kind of 2 separate departments, but work kind of together. But Google Business Profile department taking over local services ads, and also local services ads starting to incorporate more of the features and sharing more things with the Google Business Profile. So like right now, and in the past, you didn't even have to have a Google Business Profile to have local services ads. So number one, it's supposed to be, and they acted like it was true now, but I don't, in my experience, I don't think you have to. But they talked about it now or soon. You will have to have a Google Business Profile in order to run local services ads, and that department is absorbing it, like I said, and uh, they will start incorporating more features. Right now, the reviews are the only thing they share in common. So in the past, they're two separate things. They do not affect one another. They don't share anything other than reviews. The local services ads will pull your reviews from your Google Business Profile, but the way they were talking is they're going to start sharing more information back and forth. So things like local services ads has a photos section, which would be great if that just went away and shared photos with your Google Business Profile. Why wouldn't it? It's a boost. It's basically kind of like boosting your Google Business Profile, but it's like one step removed from being that. So why don't they just make it that and make you just verify your Google Business Profile? They should just ask for the insurance doc and all that stuff with a Google Business Profile. So if you have a Google Business Profile, since it's already like pulling teeth to get verified there, just make it a little bit harder. But now they vetted the crap out of everybody. Now you can go run your local services ads, and you're basically just boosting your Google Business Profile, which that's a separate ad right now. You can already kind of do that in conjunction with local services ads. But the point being, local services ads is supposed to be being absorbed into Google Business Profile, and Google Ads taking some of department taking on some of it too, because it is a ad product. But then sharing more information. So what it's going to share, I haven't seen anything out in the wild that it's sharing. I haven't seen any emails from local services ads about it. I'm just hearing these guys talk about it who are trustworthy sources. But um, so I think it's a good change. I would like that. And especially since in local services ads, there's no way to distinguish yourself really. On Google Business Profile, there are products and updates and your services that can be filled out in different ways and better than other people, and the photos section and offers and question and answer and all the things. But on the local services ads, there's nothing you can customize really. It's just you got a photos section where you can put some photos, you got your headshot, and you got your reviews, and the rest of it is the same as everybody else. So I think sharing stuff with the Google Business Profile gives the opportunity for people that pay attention and do things and make themselves look like the bomb, helps them on their local services ads. So that's something to look out for in the future. I guess that's the gist of most of the other news I was going to say. Don't cancel. I talked about don't cancel a branded email account if it owns your Google Business Profile. So that suspension example that I used where they canceled a branded email account from a team member that left, and then that email was the one that owned the Google Business Profile. They got suspended and they're having trouble getting ownership back out of that email address. So if you have a branded email account that owns it and the team member leaves, or you're canceling that email for some reason or something, make sure you transfer that ownership before you do it. More lawsuits in the works against Google. Stuff's always happening against Google because antitrust and monopoly stuff all over and in different states and what have you. LSA reviews link going away. Been talking about that for a long time. I'm still seeing it in a lot of accounts. I didn't take notice on the one I did yesterday, which was a brand new account. I need to look at that. But the local services ads reviews link is going away, the specific one, and I've always said not to use it anyway. Bookings is another thing they talked about that would be shared with the Google Business Profile on local services ads, a booking button. Again, I haven't noticed it in the wild, but the way they talked is it will, if you got a Calendly link put into your booking feature on Google Business Profile, it would then have a booking button on your local services ads as well. Again, I haven't seen it in the wild, but they talked about it. Uh, Google Business Profile now being required. I said dashboard going to regular Google Ads. I mentioned Google Business Profile department will kind of take over some of it, some of the slack because it will share some features with it, but Google Ads will also take up some of the slack because it is an ad product, and they said the dashboard will be going to Google Ads. So right now, the local services ads dashboard is in like a completely separate place from regular Google Ads. But the way they talked was that it will be joining the regular Google Ads dashboard in some fashion. So look out for that. If that happens, you will definitely see me talking about it and posting about it and all that things, because that'll be a big deal for what I do. Blah blah blah. Downsizing. They talked about updates to Google Maps and how they've been simplifying the looks of it, which I haven't taken notice to, and maybe it's just on Apple phones. Maybe you, if anybody has Apple, they could comment. But they talked about a general simplification of maps, of Google Maps, in favor of looking a little bit more simplistic and clean like Apple Maps. So again, I use Google Maps every day, all day, and I see little changes happening, obviously, but I haven't seen a lot of what they were talking about. They also talked about how everything was simplified except for ads. So you can run ads that would appear on Google Maps, like if you're looking at your map and somebody at the nearby oil change place that's within your map view, if they're running an ad, there might be an ad sitting right there on their pin that says like free oil change Tuesdays or something. So you can have sponsored ads right on maps. And they talked about how the map was simplified except for the ads were much bigger, which would make sense. They're in the business of selling ads. That's how they make money. So, and if you're an advertiser, that's probably a good thing. I don't think that's a good way to invest for a real estate agent. But that is something they talked about, is the simplification of the look of Google Maps, possibly to look more like Apple Maps. I mean, they still dominate the market, but Apple is making a huge effort to take over a lot of the maps traffic and not have to rely on Google, and to list businesses. There's Apple Connect, which we've talked about, which you should all be on. So they are making an effort to be a competitor with Google Maps. So who knows if it's just, companies have to redesign things every so often, whether they want to or not. You got to have a fresh update come out or it gets stale. So whether or not they're trying to be like Apple, or it's just consumer feedback, or it's just the way they wanted to do it, I don't know. But they talked about some changes on the Maps app, cleaned up the interface, yada yada. They talked about how Google tried to buy Yelp in 2009. Then Google bought Zagat's because Google didn't used to have reviews back in the day. So in 2009, they tried to buy Yelp because they're trying to build up their maps and their business listings. Yelp, who is a big fighter against Google, Yelp is the one suing them all the time and fighting them as a monopoly. They tried to buy Yelp. Yelp didn't sell. They then bought Zagat's. That was a complete miserable fail. And then in 2015, they doubled down on their own reviews. They started having Google business profiles, and that was around the time Google Plus was around and kind of had something to do with businesses as well. They also introduced local guiding to gamify it and put fuel on the fire for the reviews. And now we all know that they have a majority of the reviews online, exponentially as many reviews as Yelp or Zagat's or any other review site. They've got X number, XXXX more reviews on their platform. So, but interesting, Yelp is still around, still fighting, still kind of kicking. None of us use it, and I pretty much hate it, but they are always in a fight against Google, and Google being a search monopoly. And Yelp says that local search is 46% of searches, and I've heard other people say in the 50% range, so probably fairly in that range, maybe. I think Google quotes a little bit lower, 20, 30, 40 or something, but Yelp claims that local search is 46% of searches, and they care because that's what Yelp is. It's a local search platform, and Google serving up and preferencing their own products, Google Business Profile, local services ads, Google ads, all the things that you see before you get down, way down to where Yelp is. Um, 50% of the searches are those types of searches that Google is now just dominating and sucking up all the clicks and all the money from. So that's a reason why Yelp is always fighting against them. Blah, blah, blah. They said Google has the ability to identify Chat GPT reviews. That sounds kind of alarming, but I wouldn't read too much into that. They don't care if you use Chat GPT to respond to a review or something. If they scanned an account and there were 20 new reviews today and they're all from bad fake looking accounts and it can tell that they were all written with Chat GPT or some other AI, then you're going to have a problem. So it's supposed to be able to identify how the hell it can identify it. Like if you copy paste into a Word document and then rearrange it and reword it and then copy paste it, who knows, can it read in that far? Or is it just, it can only tell if you copy paste, or how does it tell? I don't know, but they said it will have the ability to tell. Um, blah, blah, blah. Check your online profiles. Somebody earlier in the room was talking about checking your online profiles and optimizing them every quarter or so. I think that was in Michelle's room, Rise and Shine this morning. And I just wrote it down and put an exclamation point because I'm always talking to people about that. I was optimizing somebody's profile yesterday, and there's a place in there to put the social profiles. You can put up to 7 of them. They're all the usual suspects: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And this person had none. Not one of those things could I find them on. Not a Facebook profile unless I had a maiden name or something, but I was looking around and trying different things, and so I couldn't find any of them. Secret agent. Then on Clubhouse, there's also no description, no phone numbers, no way to reach them, nothing talking about them, all those kinds of things. So secret agent for sure. So when I have my call with this person, my coaching call, which I haven't had yet. When I do, we're going to be talking about that for sure. You need to check your online profiles. If you don't have them, they need to be creative so people can find you and vet you and make sure they all look cool, are consistent with everything else, yada yada. Doesn't mean you have to dominate YouTube and be monetized and have 1 million subscribers. Same with Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Doesn't mean you have to be dominating them, but the headshot should be recent and match all the other ones. The phone number should match. The brokerage should be correct. Your LinkedIn shouldn't just be the blank gray silhouette of a head on there, which LinkedIn is the biggest culprit, and LinkedIn has some of the best SEO power. So when people branded search you, that'll be at the top. So all your online profiles need to be optimized. And just another reminder, I say it a lot, but another reminder, and people were talking about it this morning, and I had that client that just like doesn't exist for the most part. So we'll be talking about that. Blah blah blah. And then just a quick announcement before I close it out. I do have 2 new offerings at multiple requests: YouTube ads. So, and they will be based on a Jason Pantana framework. So basically, they're YouTube ads, which the framework and the settings will be based on what Jason Pantana suggested. A bunch of people came back from Tom Ferry saying, can you implement this? And I said, sure. So I have a package for that now, pretty straightforward, and it could be more complicated uh, from there, but there is a basic framework. And then listing marketing also, I'm rolling out for listings. Basically, do your social media posts as again a framework, and certain posts I will do, and boosting posts and that kind of thing. So it would be kind of in conjunction with, you would get your photos package and video package from your people, and then you would send all that stuff to me to then post certain ways, run ads, and do all the things on social media. Not all the things, but the things that I list on the what's included thing. It does do a lot, but that is available as well. So 2 new offerings that you can find by asking me or looking on the website or whatever. My prices page has itemized list of all my services. If you're looking for like everything I offer, that's the one. Click on prices, and then it will also have the prices there, which a lot of people ask all the time, but also list of almost everything that's in there. Not all the things are in the menu. So I think that's all I got today. We're at 8 after, so pretty good timing. Any questions, comments, anything from anything I went over, or anything else unrelated? Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for coming in, everybody. Denise, thanks again for hanging in there. Did Denise drop out? I can't see. But thank you, Denise, if you're listening later, and even if she's not here, thanks, Denise, for hanging in there. And she's a trooper going through these suspensions and verifications. And like people do, I've got multiple suspensions out there that people just gave up or they got sick of me saying, no, we got to this thing isn't specific enough. The address on this doesn't match this. We need to change that address on the utility bill and redo that. Or people just get sick of it and they're like, screw it. I don't need a Google business profile. But I believe you do. And it's especially if you have lots of reviews, you need to have that. So kudos to Denise and all the others who stick in there and deal with me bugging the crap out of them to get their stuff together correctly so we can hopefully get them back up and running. So thanks everybody for being here, listening to me drone on. Again, that urgent message, I'll say it one more time. If you get an ownership request, do not approve it and do it within 3 days. So be vigilant and watch out for that. That's now 5 that I've heard about in the last 7 days, ownership requests, fraudulent ownership requests. So look out for that. Do not approve, do not approve. And with that, I'll say have a great hump day, everybody. See you later.